Hey there, this is Greg again. I am working on yet another Joseph Cornell box. Actually, it's not a Joseph Cornell box. I'm really taking, again, some of his elements that he's used in some of his pieces, and I'm kind of making them my own in my own boxes. For those of you that don't know, Joseph Cornell was an artist from the early to mid 1900s in New York City, and he was a box artist, an assemblage artist. He kind of set the standard, so to speak, for box assemblage kinds of work, and also some collage pieces he did. He also did some little videos that he's got. He's no longer alive, but his pieces, if you do a Joseph Cornell search, Google search online, you're going to find a lot of really interesting stuff. Cornell, besides the floating kinds of things that he often did at the top of his boxes, oftentimes his boxes were very, very compartmentalized. There were just compartments built into his boxes, and they were very, very well designed. I can't begin to replicate what he did, one of his boxes. In fact, I'm not even really trying to. I'm just trying to use some of the elements in my own way. So I'm building some compartments. I've got a wooden box here. By the way, this wooden box, Cornell also apparently had some help with his boxes to begin with. He wasn't probably the best carpenter, and eventually he learned to construct some of his own boxes. But I find so many wooden boxes that are ready to go that can be reused. This is a wooden box that I got at a liquidating center. It's a box that came, great wooden box, heavy wooden box. It came with a lid that you open in this fashion, and apparently it had some game pieces inside, and it still has some old label stuff on it that I'm getting the label off with a heat gun. The stuff is very sticky, but I just take the box once I get it, the labels taken off. I sand it down, and then I cover it with my vintage papers, whatever I plan on using, and then I go to work on it. So I really haven't constructed any boxes myself. I'm just using basically what I find. Wooden boxes, cardboard boxes, paper boxes. You can use just about anything, and end up with a great construction. So my idea here today is that I'm going to build some compartments more so than usual, than I usually do with my stuff. My compartments, by the way, I'm using cardboard. It looks like wood probably on the video, but it's a very heavy cardboard. If you tear open if you got old books and you take the covers off, the cardboard that they use in the covers is often what this turns out to be. In fact, this is even a little bit heavier. So, and I'm going to cover this with my vintage mapping. I'm using some I've got an old atlas with some of this great mapping paper on, and I glue everything down. I'm going to do some additional sanding on this to age it. It seems like as assemblage and collage artists, we all like the vintage aged look, and of course I do too, and so I do a little sanding. I'm probably going to add some maybe a light layer of alcohol dye onto this. I'm not sure yet. I haven't sanded the inside of this, but I'm going to get ready to today. So once I get this covered with paper, which I will do, I'm going to start making my own compartments. My first compartment up here at the top with the rusted balls, hanging, moving rusted balls up at the top, and I'm going to build some compartments down here at the bottom. In one compartment I'm going to use this old pharmacy bottle. I'm not sure what this was at one time, but it's going to fit very nicely over here into the side. At least it is once I get it in. Cornell also used glasses, drinking glasses at the bottom, tiny little glasses. Some of them were broken, some of them were whole. I'm using a metallic little glass at the bottom, and I'm going to build another compartment off to the side here in this manner. And I've even got a smaller divider that I'm going to put up here, and I'm actually going to have a compartment in this section, and I'm thinking I'm actually put a photo in this spot, but I'm not sure yet. And I was at a flea market last weekend, and I got this old plastic cake topper for somebody might use it at a wedding. This is it was plastic, and I've done kind of a rusting job on it, and I think it's going to go in this final container, this final compartment over here. But I've got another idea for this compartment also, so I got to kind of work through that today and see what I can do. So anyway, this is where I am at with this particular assemblage. Last few days ago, I did actually do, I guess you could call it another Cornell-like kind of a box, because I've used some of his elements. I've used the movable pieces across the top, and then I've also got some compartments built in down at the bottom. There's a vintage photo down here. There's an old pillbox, and then there's some ball bearings over here at the side. This one is completely finished. It's a smaller, in fact this was a cigar box, and I took the lid off, cut my own glass, got the glass glued down in place, did my sanding. I used the alcohol dyes, so basically and then I put a backing onto the back where it can easily be hung safely without any falling off. So this piece will eventually also have its own glass on the top. I had to do a little extra work on this particular box in order for it to hold the glass. I've actually put a little lip around the inside of the box, also covered with my vintage paper, my vintage map. And so when I put the glass on, the glass has a little lip, a little tray to fit on in this manner like this, and then I can glue it down with a little bit of my silicone glue, and it's good to go. So anyway, I'm going to get going with this. I'll get everything glued into place and make my final decision on what I'm going to do down here on these bottom sections, and then I'll show you the finished product. But hey, I am finished with this piece, finally. It's a little bit of a stretch probably to refer to it as a Joseph Cornell piece, but I still have some of his elements in place here. I still have my floater bar across the top and some floating objects, and I still have my compartments here. The compartments I found were really a lot of fun to work with. It's fun finding the treasures that you want to use to put into the compartments. I've got a couple old pharmacy items over here on the side, and a kind of a brass goblet down here in the middle, and then an old vintage photo on the side with some old toy plastic ducks that I put over here on this side. Everything is glued in, including the divider pieces, with silicone, which really works well for me. I generally like a little more exaggeration and incongruity in my pieces than this, but nevertheless, I'm really pleased with this piece. So the last thing I got to do, got to put some hanging equipment on the back, a wire back here, and then I'm going to put the glass over the front and make sure that it's glued down. As I showed you before, I've got a little lip around the edge here where the glass is going to sit. I think before I put the glass on this time, I'm going to leave the glass off. I'm going to actually photograph this thing so that I don't have to worry about any kind of glare. And then I'll put the glass on, and this thing is ready to hang. So thanks again for joining me for yet another assemblage project. We'll see ya.